Hello Internet. Today I'd like to review this soldering iron tip cleaner. This thing is automatic. It's got 3 speeds that you can select from. Totally automatic. This is your soldering tip. You insert it into the hole, and the 2 brushes, as you can see inside, will start to rotate toward each other, cleaning your tip. On the bottom we have this drawer where all that residue gets collected and you can dump it out easily. One of the problems with that is the internals of this particular device isn't designed very tight, so whatever gets tossed around literally gets tossed around because there are openings on the side, and a lot of times it just falls through the cracks and whatnot. So I ended up printing this piece of plastic that just kind of helps to guide all the chips to go into the bottom of this. It's a very simple device actually, if you look at it. Just a motor, 2 brushes, and these are brass and a sensor. So that's really all there is to it. So let's go ahead and put this thing back together, and then I'm going to show you a little bit, tell you a little bit more about it. That you might want to avoid this, to stay away from this, or you might not. It just all depends on the amount of money that you're willing to burn, because this thing, not only that the device itself isn't cheap, given it, but you know, granted, it's built very well, though it did not survive shipping all too great. As you can see here, it's a dent and it's actually severely twisted. But whatever, it works. It's made with a hard, aluminum casing and whatnot, not some piece of plastic junk. And the company is very reputable. I'm using their soldering stations, and I'm super happy. So here's the thing. Over time, this machine becomes so addictive because it's really good, and you think, well, that's great, and I have to agree that it cleans the tips really, really good. But the issue with that is it cleans these tips a little bit too good. So let's say I have this genuine JBC tip, a brand new, that I just swapped, and the only reason why I had to swap it is because the old one worn out in just a few months using this thing. Now, what do I mean by worn out? Simple. Let's have a look at this tip under a microscope and see what happened to it. You see this hole here? Now that hole is not there by an accident or abuse or whatever. That hole was eaten away or ground away by the cleaning process of that station, as you can see here. So every time you insert that in there, it will slowly but surely, especially when the tip is hot, it'll slowly eat it away, damaging or misshaping your tip. So that may not necessarily be bad thing, because sometimes you have a lot of burnt stuff that from the flux and whatnot that you want to clean. It just works really well. But on the other hand, if you're dealing with micro tips like 115, it has the potential of disfiguring your tip relatively easy, especially when it's shaped like this. Not a knife, but a curved tip and a straight tip. Well, the straight tip's probably going to be okay, but if the tip is curved, it could potentially cause some issues, though not noticeably right away, but eventually. So while the device itself is good and it performs exceptionally well, what I'd like to see, in order to prevent that kind of damage, the very reason for why it's happening is because we have 2 rotary drums rotating into each other. And so what that does is it takes your tips and it pulls it in, and that consequently applies a bit too much force than you want to. A lot of times I would shove it in, and then it just kind of pulls it in harder than I expected. And that has to do with the drums, rolling in the same direction. So it kind of gets trapped in between and it gets pulled down. So that's, obvious. What I'd like to see instead is if it was one drum and it would rotate like this. So that way when I go in, I can insert the tip and I can rotate it whichever way I want, and I regulate the pressure while applying. But there's no way to regulate the pressure right now, because as soon as this thing just grabs a hold of your tip, you can almost expect that sooner or later it's going to create issues, and the tip's going to be either disfigured or misshaped or just eaten away altogether. But otherwise, it's a great unit, though I really hope that the manufacturers would ever watch this video and they would reconsider the design and have the drum roll backwards this way into the inside of the chamber instead of having two drum rolls rolling like this. So that would definitely be a way better setup, I think, at least in my opinion. One thing I can do, though, is I can probably take this thing completely apart, completely redesign it, maybe 3D print something else, maybe I'll have an opening like in here or something. I don't know. I might do that, I might not. This thing saves a lot of time wiping and cleaning the tips, and I don't know how I survived without it. So great stuff, works really well. Problem is, it works too well. So, and also
sometimes when the wire gets too close to a hole, the sensors will trigger and give you like several trigger beeps, and just kind of annoying sometimes. It just depends on where you position it, I suppose. But other than that, it works really well. I absolutely like it. Yeah, and it just works like a charm. I have absolutely no complaints about it, other than it's eating your tips. So hopefully that was educating. And you can probably run it on a slower, on a faster. Slower probably be less traumatizing to the tip, but regardless. Either way, thanks for watching and have a blessed day. Goodbye.